Hello everyone and welcome to this session on sources of hypothesis, theory, observation and literature review. In the previous lectures, we discussed what a hypothesis is, characteristics of a good hypothesis, how hypothesis translates into measurable models, particularly in structural equation modeling or SEM. In this lecture, we answer a critical methodological question. Where do good hypotheses come from? Hypotheses are not created in isolation. They emerge systematically from theory, real-world observation, and existing research literature. By the end of this session, you will be able to identify major sources of hypothesis, understand how each source contributes to applied research, and learn how to justify hypotheses in thesis, dissertations, and journal articles. In applied research, hypotheses typically originate from three primary sources: theory, observation and practical experience, review of existing literature. These sources are not mutually exclusive. High-quality research often draws from all three simultaneously. In SEM-based research, the theoretical justification of hypotheses is especially critical, as reviewers closely examine the logic behind model relationships. A theory is systematically organized body of knowledge that explains relationships among variables. When hypotheses are derived from theory, they have strong conceptual grounding, they contribute to theory testing or extension, and they enhance the credibility of research findings. Theory-driven hypotheses are deductive in nature, moving from general principles to specific testable statements. Consider transformational leadership theory, which was first introduced by sociologist James V. Downton in 1973. The theory proposes that transformational leaders inspire employees, enhance motivation, and improve performance. From this theory, we can derive a hypothesis. Transformational leadership has a positive effect on employee job performance. In SEM, transformational leadership is a latent variable. Job performance is another latent variable. The hypothesis becomes a structural path. This is a purely theory-driven hypothesis. Consider information processing theory as first introduced by Daft and Lengel in 1983, which explicitly links the three concepts of uncertainty perception, information seeking, and knowledge sharing, and suggests that organizations reduce uncertainty through information sharing. From this theory, hypothesis can be stated as information sharing among supply chain partners negatively affects demand uncertainty. This hypothesis is deductively derived, has clear causal direction, and is widely tested in supply chain research. Such hypotheses form the backbone of predictive and explanatory models. The theory of planned behavior, which was first proposed by social psychologist Ichek Eisen in the late 1980s, proposes that attitude, subjective norms, and perceived behavioral control influence behavioral intention. A hypothesis derived from theory of planned behavior is stated as attitude, towards online learning positively influences students' intention to adopt online education platforms. This shows how established social theories directly generate testable hypotheses ideal for STEM. Not all hypotheses originate from theory. Many emerge from field experience, professional practice, managerial problems, and societal changes. These hypotheses are often inductive, moving from specific observations to generalizable statements. Observation-based hypotheses are especially important in applied research, where real-world problems drive inquiry. Suppose a manager observes that teams with flexible work policies show higher morale. From this raw observation, the manager may state that flexible work seems good for employees. However, this is not a well-formulated hypothesis. A well-formulated research hypothesis from this observation would state workplace flexibility has a positive effect on employee engagement. This hypothesis emerges from practice, requires theoretical backing later, and is empirically testable. In dissertations, such hypotheses are often justified as practice-driven research gaps. A logistics manager observes AI-based forecasting tools reduce last-minute order changes. A hypothesis can be formulated as the adoption of AI-based demand forecasting systems reduces order volatility in supply chains. This hypothesis reflects emerging industry trends, may precede extensive theoretical development, and is highly relevant for applied STEM studies. In social science research, a researcher observes the following: increased social media usage among youth, higher participation in online civic discussions. The hypothesis that is derived from this observation can be stated as frequency of social media use positively influences civic engagement among young adults. Such hypotheses capture evolving social phenomena and often lead to theory development or refinement. Next, we come to literature review as a source of hypothesis. Literature review is the most common systematic source of hypothesis. It helps researchers identify established relationships, inconsistencies, research gaps, and underexplored contexts. Hypotheses derived from literature are well defended and reviewer-friendly. Let us now look at an example of extending existing findings from literature. Suppose prior studies show that service quality affects customer satisfaction in retail. A researcher studying logistics services may hypothesize logistics service quality positively influences customer satisfaction in e-commerce fulfillment. This hypothesis extends existing findings, applies them to a new context, and strengthens external validity. Let us now consider how hypotheses can be formulated to address inconsistencies in literature. Some studies find job stress reduces performance. Others find no significant relationship. A researcher may hypothesize employee resilience moderates the relationship between job stress and job performance. This hypothesis resolves conflicting findings, introduces moderation, and is ideal for SEM analysis. Now, let us look at an example of identifying gaps from extant literature. If literature shows that technology adoption improves efficiency and few studies examine sustainability outcomes, a hypothesis may be framed as digital supply chain integration positively influences environmental sustainability performance. This demonstrates how literature gaps directly lead to impactful hypotheses. Let us now see how multiple sources of hypothesis can be integrated. High-quality applied research often combines theory to provide structure, observation to ensure relevance, and literature to ensure rigor. Observation identifies a problem, literature reveals a gap, and theory explains the relationship. Such integration is strongly recommended for PhD and journal-level research. To summarize, theory provides deductive hypothesis, observation provides practical relevance, and literature review ensures academic rigor. Strong hypotheses are well justified, contextually relevant, and methodologically sound. In the next session, we will move from sources of hypothesis to translating research questions into hypothesis. Thank you and see you in the next session.